First, homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming, to Master Sakya Zheng Kong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Tupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of Homa today, the Mahotara Heruka. Om Beja Zoda Mahase Shiri Haroka Hom He Sumu Sumu Tuten Siti Rinpoche. Tanzhen Gacho Rinpoche. And all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma instructors, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet, and our participating VIPs today are Madam to the Ambassador Daniel Liao's representative to the Taipei office in Sweden, Dharma Sister Judy. From Academia Sinica, the academician Professor Zhu and Mrs. Zhu. The law advisors to Buddha Foundation, Miss Jennifer Zhou, Mr. Luo, and Mrs. Huang, and their son. Accountant to Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa and her husband Larry. And the professors group of Buddha School, Professor Mai, Professor Yo, Professor Ye, Professor Wang, Professor Wang, Jingxian, and Dr. Liang, and Professor Tam and Professor Wu. Director of the Chinese Language and Cultural School in Brazil, Dr. Qi. The council person to Tainan City, Mr. Cai Wangquan. And representative to the council person of Taipei. The members of the Overseas Chinese Affairs Commission, Ms. Wen Shi. PR Director of Taiwan Lizang Temple, Mr. Fermi Wang. Director of the Lotus Light Charity Society of Taiwan, Mr. Li Chunyang. And the doctors group, Dr. Zhuang, Dr. Zhou, Dr. Lin, and the pharmacist Xu Hong. Producers for Geni Densang Xinten, Dharma Sister Rebecca Xiaqi. A special VIP, Miss Su Guoying. And Mr. Luo. And Mr. Harrison Yi. And a professional photographer from England, my brother Tony. From UAE, the Greenland Company's president, Ms. Lin Kun Yin. The Justice of the Peace from Australia, Mr. and Mrs. Liang. And from the Fairchild TV of Canada and the city director, Mr. and Mrs. Ye. And Datuk from Malaysia, Mr. Li Hai'an, Tak Tin Li Qing, and their daughter, Miss Kelly Lee.
California for small girl. 美国利建有限公司段生前董事长。
And from American Li Jian Company, President Tuan. And President from the Sun Lu Foundation, Miss Fo Qing Lu. And the Secretary to Sun Lu Foundation, Mr. and Mrs. Lu Fo Qi. Good afternoon, everybody. How do you do?
你好，大家好。这个是通知大家的啊。
This is the announcement.
下星期天9月
Next Sunday, September 4th at 3 p.m. There would be yellow Jambalaya Homa fire offering ceremony. Jambalaya. Today is a special day.
今天几乎是文武百尊
We could say that all the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities all descended.
大放化王金刚
So Mahotara Herukas and the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities all descended to Grandmaster's body. And the mudras that were formed were different from normal. Half were formed by myself, and the other half were formed by the 100 deities. So it's a kind of union between heaven, earth, heaven and human beings. And among them, Mahotara Herukas and the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities form each of the mudra, each of their mudras, representing that all of them have descended. So the Homa today, if you registered for Bardo deliverance, including the ancestors, they were all delivered to the Buddha land. And today, seated here on the Homa fire altar, in front of the Homa fire, I only say truthful words. All the mudras that I formed today were never seen before. You couldn't have seen these mudras before. So I don't dare to say that that's due to the merit of Grandmaster Lu, but it's due to all of your merits. So the marriage of each one of you
不是我的，不是我的。
it's not mine.
所以这个手印呢，
So the mudras
有的时候它会变化，它
sometimes
种种的变化。
there's
那么有的
some
时候
changes
是
to
我在
them
有的时候
and
是
transformation.
文武百尊在底。
And sometimes I form the mudras, and sometimes the 100 peaceful and restful deities form them. I knew, but if you ask me to form the mudras that were just formed earlier, I could not. Which means, although I have formed the mudras, but now if you ask me to form the same mudras, it would be impossible.
也就是说，我还是将来的法会，我还是比自己的手印。
So, which means in the future, in the ceremonies, I would still form my own mudras because I don't know how to form the mudras of the 100 deities because they were all controlled and formed by the deities and they kept descending one by one. It never stopped. And let me tell you,
是不是这一次的这个灌顶，或者在放咒音？
is it during the empowerment or that we play the mantras and then you can touch the areas of problem on your part of body? I asked if Mahotara Heruka will bless us, and he said that during the empowerment later on, you touch the areas of your body that are sick. And he would bless all of you. And if it can be decreased, it will be decreased. If it can be eradicated, then it will be eradicated. So here we would like to offer our gratitude to Mahotara Heruka and the 100 peaceful and restful deities. So today the mudras for the 100 deities were the first time ever since 40 years ago. And will I remember them after forming them? No, I cannot remember them. I forget as soon as I form them. And yet the mudras that Vajra taught me, I remember because there's a process to it. There are stages. There's some sequence to them. And the mudras earlier, they were sequenced, but afterwards, they were the mudras of the union of the heavens and human beings. And if you ask me to form them again, I'm sorry, I cannot. So this is honestly speaking, truthfully speaking. So have you ever seen Grandmaster form this kind of mudras since 40 years ago? Never. Never before. And I don't know why I would form such mudras. Those symbolize the 100, actually a total of 104 peaceful and wrathful deities. Actually, they are 104 peaceful and wrathful deities.
不一样的地方。好，
So that's
那我也没有办
what's
法讲。
special today.
那么他跟
And
我指示大放
impossible for me to say.
金刚号，真正的金刚号
Mahotara
就是
told me
通眼金刚，通眼金刚。
the true Vajra epithet or the Vajra title of Mahotara
这个法我
is
修过，
the
这种法我修过，但是不知道
passing
我有
through
没有
the
讲过
eyes
通眼
Vajra.
全身都是眼。
So it's all eyes. I have practiced
他
this
的讲法是这样
Dharma
就是相对
before. Have I talked
眼
about
跟
it?
眼
Yes.
相对的，先练习。
So it's
由你
eyes
头
to
顶上的
eyes.
天
First you
顶
practice
窍这里
at the
有
tip
一个
of
眼
your
睛
head.
观想
There's
出
an
一个
eye.
向下。
Visualize there's an eye that looks down.
密轮的地方，密轮底下是
And
海底轮。
At the secret chakra and below secret chakra, that would be the base chakra, which is between the two holes. That would be the base
它
chakra.
不是肛门
It's not the anus.
啊，跟这个我们平常这个小号的地方那两个，
Or the
可是这两
place for the
门
urination.
中间就是海
But
底轮。
between these two holes would be the base chakra, and there would be an eye there.
上面的眼
When you're
往
sitting
下看
upright,
下面
the
的眼
upper
往
eye
上看
looking down and the lower eye looking up
这是第一个，
first.
把自己身体里面的
That
动
was
脉
first.
全
And
看到清楚，
And then you see
才
all the central channel inside your body.
顶窍有一个眼，
Then there would be
海底轮有一个眼，
a
两
success.
个互相看。
So an eye at the tip of the crown, an eye at the base chakra, and the two eyes looking until you can see the whole central channel.
右耳有一个眼，
And then there's an eye on the left ear and one eye on the right ear, and they're looking at each other
看到里面是什么？
until you see the inside.
再来呢，
And then
全部都是通身视野，
eyes all over the body. An eye on the shoulder,
这边肩膀上有一个，
and on the
两
other
个
shoulder
眼互相
another
看
eye, and these two eyes looking at each other.
然后从上到下
And then
到
from
上
top to bottom, to
脚
the
底也
feet,
有眼，
to the bottom of the
脚
feet,
底
the
也有
sole of the feet,
这个
there would be
你的
eyes.
膝盖有两个眼，
On the
对看
knees, two
脚底
eyes
两个
looking at
眼
each
对
other.
看，
Two eyes on the soles of the feet looking at each other.
在肾脏这边各有
On
两
the
个眼，互
kidneys,
相看，
two eyes looking at each other.
看到最后是怎么样？
And you're looking
全
until
身都是眼睛，你的全
eventually
身都是眼睛，
your whole bodies are
全部对看。
eyes and looking at each other. They are all
当你
eyes
的
all
光
over your
明
body.
在心中显现的时候啊，
When the light is
你的
generated
眼睛
in
全部
your
放光，
heart, then your eyes would
可以
generate
看
light,
整个宇宙，
and you would be able to see the whole
整个宇宙
universe,
整个世界，你
the
通
whole
通都看
world. You would be able to see
从最小的
from the
看到
smallest
整个宇
one
宙，
to the
叫
whole
通眼
universe.
金刚，就是
This is
大脑
called the all-permeating eyes, Heruka, and that is Mahotara Heruka.
啊，这样子的修持法看起来很困难，
So this
但
kind
其
of
实
practice
是大圆满
seems
法当
difficult,
中的一个
but actually it's one
大
of
圆
the
满
great perfection
法当
dharma.
中的一个修法，一个修法。我有这样子讲过吗？
So it's one of the dharma of the great perfection dharma.
就变成通身都是眼，每一个毛细
So
孔都是眼。
that the eyes are all pervading all over the body. Each pores of your skin are filled with eyes, and from the eyes, light would be
可以
radiated.
看到自己
And as small as you would be able to see all inside your body, and as big as you would be able to see the whole universe. So that's the all-pervading eyes Dharma practice of Mahotara Heruka. And just now, Mahotara Heruka also descended, and he also formed Mudras. And based on what I know, the Mudras formed naturally, and it's impossible for me to remember them completely, what the Mudras were. So the ceremony today is very special, extraordinary. So during the empowerment, remember any parts of your body that are sick. If you cannot touch them, then you can use visualization when you receive empowerment, but don't stop when you walk. So you continue to walk by the empowerment banners. Otherwise, if you stop, there would be traffic jam. So remember, during empowerment, he instructed earlier, during empowerment, as you walk by, then there would be miracles to eradicate your sicknesses. And today, it's not just one deity. Like next week, there's just one deity, Jambalaya. But Jambalaya may have his assembly coming down together. Every time we perform Jambalayas, there would be 4 Jambalayas or 5 Jambalayas coming together. And today, 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, all calm. That's very rare and extraordinary. So yesterday I said, if you don't have enough merits or good fortune, you would not be here. Because if you have no virtues, then your good fortunes would be lacking. Or if you're fortunate, but you're lacking this part. You know, today, 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, they all come together. This is the first time ever since 40 years ago. And today, I would like to share the Dhamma practice of the all-pervading eyes, Herukas. Like they're all in pairs, and they're looking inward, like one eye on each shoulders. You close your eyes, and there's one eye here, and they look at each other. And 2 eyes on the 2 kidneys looking at each other, on the knees, on the soles, on the palms, looking at each other. 1 eye here, looking at each other. Like Zhuoming Buddha Mother, or the White Tara, she has 7 eyes. But Mahotara Heruka have eyes all over his body. Why? How come? Because Mahotara was a transformation of Samantabhadra Tathagata, the Adharma primordial Buddha, the greatest Heruka. Yesterday, we talked about precepts because our Mahabala is the deity for precepts, and he can also perform the 4 karma yugas for purification, enrichment, magnetization, and subjugation. And today, he also descended on my body.
那么他的印很好认了，就是两手齐磕。
And his mudras are very easy, both wrathful fist mudras.
文武百尊的印。
And the mudra for the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, other than the ones formed today, it's difficult to say if they will be formed again in the future. Perhaps this would be the only time. And we talk about Lamdre. So the path is the Dharma practiced. So all the Dharma that's being practiced in spiritual cultivation is called the path. And the realization is the spiritual grounds that you reach. Like when you reach a certain realm, like Bodhisattvahood, there are 10 spiritual grounds. Like what you experience, that would be called the realization, step by step, level by level. So on the 10th ground, there would be the equal awakening, and the 11th ground would be called the marvelous realization. And that's the same as Buddhahood. So the 11th ground is Buddhahood. And then the time of death refers to the being reborn into higher fruition, the fruition of being a transformation body. Like what Chen Chuan Fang just said, Dharma Sister Linda. The first time is when we were young, and the second when we were old, and the third, that would be we're gone. And Grandmaster also has reached the second state, which is the old age. And the third phase, in Taiwanese, it would be like hidden under the grass, which is like in the cemeteries. Gone. That's how human life is. And the first phase, second phase, and third phase, you're gone. It's quite scary. So at the time of death, you're about to go to the third phase. As you enter into the third phase, you need to abandon your physical body. And when you abandon this physical body, that would be called the time of death. And the Dharma that you practice would be considered the fruition. And there would be the combination of all the above. That's why it's called the path and its fruit. And that's the meaning of Lamdre. And we often talk about the four empowerments, the vase empowerments, the secret empowerments, the highest secret empowerment, and the perfection empowerment. As we all know, we all know about the vase empowerment. All the deity empowerments, Grandmaster used empowerment vase to confer the empowerments. Why do I use the empowerment vase? My Guru gave me the empowerment vase. That's why I could confer the vase empowerments. So once you become an Acharya, then you would have an empowerment vase. And you can use the vase to confer empowerments. But if you're not an Acharya, then you cannot confer the vase empowerments. And Acharya means masters. Recently, I heard there is a referent or a Dharma teacher who confer empowerments using a vase. That's not called empowerment. That's not empowerment. They're just pouring water. In that case, we could just take the water hose and sprinkle on all of you. That is called sprinkling water. It's not empowerment. And the second level is the secret empowerment. So the secret empowerment is the different stages along the path, and you would experience in your spiritual cultivation upon receiving the secret empowerment, and you would generate 4 kinds of wisdoms. The first one is the wisdom of equality, the wisdom of marvelous observation, the wisdom of perfect mirror-like perfection, and the perfection of the perfect nature. So first, marvelous observation, and wisdom of equality, and then wisdom of accomplishment, and then the wisdom of mirror-like perfection. So you would generate these 4 kinds of wisdom. And the mission is total perfection. And the time of death is the clear light transference of consciousness, and the fruition is total self-mastery and control of a reward body, Sambhogakaya. So there are 3 kayas, 3 bodies, the Dharmakaya, and then Sambhogakaya, reward body, and Nirmanakaya, physical body. So we are the Nirmanakaya, or the physical bodies. We are in physical bodies. When you have CD or fruition in the second level empowerment, then you would attain Sambhogakaya. And Dharmakaya is completely naked. And Sambhogakaya is wearing half of the outfit. And physical bodies is wearing outfit in full. So these are the symbols. So Dharmakaya has no form, Sambhogakaya has appearance, and Nirmanakaya is about the same as the human bodies. So those were the secret empowerment. And if you practice the inner tantra, you can reach the complete or perfect purity, and the fruition would be the Sambhogakaya, the reward body. And most Mahayana stays at the vase empowerment level. And Tantrayana would reach the second level empowerment, the practice of the chi channel and light drops. Who sneezed? That's quite. Which? It's very rare for that kind of sneeze. It's very provoking. A girl at the door. A boy. Oh, that's very rare. It's rare to hear this kind of sneeze. So it is our honor to have you here, because that's quite rare. And the third kind of wisdom empowerment, let me tell you, there were 4 levels of empowerments, and it's getting deeper and deeper. But there was once a lay Buddhist that asked for a wisdom empowerment from me, and she bought wine, meat, and lots of flowers, and asked for the highest yoga empowerment. And I said, no, that's not how it is, and I cannot confer it to you. Why? Because the wisdom empowerment of the highest Tantra requires a very special altar, and you need to tell me ahead of time. It's not that I give it to you upon your request. Like during spiritual consultation, you ask for the third level empowerment. No, I need to set up an altar, and I need to check what's inside that red thing. So are you joking? Typically, when I confer this empowerment, you only offer $2. It's okay for this empowerment. I would confer the deity empowerments upon you because everybody is not so rich and economy is not so good. So everything is voluntary. But when you are free to give whatever you want, you cannot be too to do what you like. And for the third level empowerment, you just give $20. You know, for third level empowerment, I need to invoke the deities from the space, all the dakas and dakinis. Just a few flowers and a bottle of wine and a few offerings, and you want to get the third level empowerment, and $20 and at most $100. And then you ask for the third level empowerment. That's rather impossible. And the altar that I need to set up is much more than all of your offerings. And the blessings that I would give you, invoking all the dakas, dakinis to descend from the space. And of course, it's rather easy for Grandmaster because even the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities can descend upon Grandmaster's body. It's easy to confer empowerments for Grandmaster. And when I was giving blessings by tapping on the heads, all of a sudden someone said, Grandmaster, I want the empowerment of Vajra. I want the empowerment of Yamantaka, kneeling there. First, you violate the 14 roots of downfalls. There was this precept that you want empowerment without following the procedure or the ritual, and you don't even have an offering, and you say, oh, I'll give it later. So one time, because I confer the third level empowerment, you know, when we don't set any price, then you do what you like. And they just make a really thin offering. It's just a sheet of paper. And at most in US dollars would be $100. And I thought it would be a check. But it's not. That's about how much. And I still confer the third level empowerment. So I was the one who apologized to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So when your hearts and qualifications and conditions are not ripe to receive the empowerment, that's also a transgression. So you need to carry a blissful heart. And for the third level empowerment, you can do it in a single body, or if you want to practice in dual body, then you need to bring your companion, whether it's your male or female companion. But if you have not received the empowerment and you perform the dual body of the highest yoga tantra, you are destined or definitely will go to the Vajra hell. So, any Vajra masters who have not received the third level empowerment and perform this dual body practice, then you are definitely to fall into the Vajra hell. So, if you lie and cheat, and you said that you received the empowerment, and then the master said that he had received the empowerment and he cheated girls to perform the practice with him, then that's wrong, because I would recognize you if I give the empowerments to you. Because for the third level empowerment, you definitely need an altar. And the realization would be the four blisses and the four emptiness. You would experience the initial bliss, supreme bliss, the utmost bliss, and the primordial bliss. You need to experience these four different kinds of sensations, and then these four kinds of blisses transform to become four emptiness. So it's going up, going back and forth. So in the central channel, the chi, inner fire, and light drops would first descend and then ascend. And the four blisses and the four emptiness would be experienced here. So the mission is the bliss and emptiness of both the broad and the narrow. So you've gone to Western paradise and then you come back. So that's extreme bliss, or the bliss of the broad and the bliss of the narrow, or the meditation of bliss and emptiness. And the time of death is the descent of Vajrasattva, and the fruition is the total self-mastery of Dharmakaya. So at the third level empowerment, you can attain Dharmakaya, which is completely non-existent. And at the time of death, Vajrasattva would appear. That's the tantric Dharma prince, Vajrasattva, will appear. Generally, for Mahayana, for those who incant Buddha Amitabha, Amitabha would appear, or your yidams would appear, or the yidams and the assembly would appear. Amitabha, Kuan Yin, and Mastama Prapta would appear together. That's the phenomena of Mahayana. If you're not destined to go to the Pure Land, or you haven't been in spiritual union, then they will not appear. But in spiritual cultivation, if you gain spiritual union through the Vajra empowerment, then you have assurances to go to the Pure Land. And if you have not attained any yogic response, then you have no hope to go to the Pure Land. So today I will only talk up to the third level empowerment. So the path is the three Vajra waves, the path of the three Vajra waves. And Lianing asked me, that's light. So the path of the three Vajra waves, that's light. So on the third level empowerment, there would be a round light around your head. That would be the first level of light. And the second level, second wave of light So like behind the Bodhisattva, there will be like an aura light. That's the first Vajra wave. And the second Vajra wave is around your body. And the third Vajra wave would be around the feet, the lotus light. So that's the path of the 3 Vajra waves. Lian Ning asked about this earlier. A man asked God, if you need to let go either woman or alcohol, which one would you choose? So the man asked God, what would you choose, letting go woman or alcohol? So God is God. And he said, it depends on the affinity. So God is God. So it depends on the affinity. If we refer to the California's 4 small girls as women, then the affinity is very light. That they are more precious than the wine. And California small girls now have reached the second phase. So the alcohol is more precious. And when they were young, they would be more precious. So that's why it depends. There's this joke, a couple are drinking water in the backyard, and the woman all of a sudden looked down and said, I really love you. All my life, without you, I'll be nothing. And I live just for you. I rely on you to live in this life. I have nothing. All I have now is just you. And the husband was truly moved. And he shed tears. And his wife never said anything like that before. And when the wife saw the husband is teary, and she said, why are you crying? I was talking to my wine. So Dharma Sister Linda can perform this in front of your husband. You drink together with your husband and you can say these words, and then he would shed tears, and actually you were talking to the wine. When there was earthquake, Dharma Sister Linda didn't hold or hug her husband, but she was like holding on her wine bottles. So which one is important and which one is less? The last one is the base empowerment, and the most important one is the 4th level empowerment. And then the third level empowerment is incredible, and the 2nd level empowerment you can already reach Sambhogakaya, and the 3rd level you can reach Dharmakaya. And on 4th level it's Renyun, and you can attain any body, any kaya that you like. So the 4th level would be the true body. A reporter interviewed exemplar elderly couple, and Grandpa, you're already in your 80s and you still call your wife honey. And he replied, a few years ago I forgot about her name, so I just call her honey. And one day I will forget Simu's name, because that's memory loss. But I will remember the name of the neighbor lady.
那个哪位总统？美国总统
Which American president?
雷根啊。
Reagan.
Nancy 的名字他已经忘掉。
He forgot
他忘掉，他不认得
Nancy.
太太，那隔壁家的太太他都认得。
He forgot his own wife, but he forgot the ladies from the neighbors.
突然间会显现一些东西出来。
And Grandmaster sometimes would show certain things, and normally he wouldn't. And sometimes he would show certain things to let you know. But normally, I look like an ordinary being, just about like an ordinary being. But sometimes I would show something extraordinary. Although Grandmaster is old and the memory is lacking, but sometimes when I see some people, I still remember their names, so they must have left a deep impression in Grandmaster's brain. Going to the restaurant, the beautiful lady came over and hugged Xiaoming and asked, "Hubby, am I beautiful now?" And Xiaoming's heart skipped a beat and nodded his head and said, "Yeah, looks beautiful." And then the lady blinked one of his eye and said, "Okay, now I'm leaving and I'm waiting for you at home." And Xiaoming wiped off his saliva. And then the restaurant owner gave him the bill. Your wife spent $3,600. Do you want to pay together? So that's like a trick. So what this joke means is that the smart people should not be cheated by this beauty, and the smart people should not be tricked by fame and money. I said yesterday, Taiwan has no productivity, but they produce so many fraud companies that and that goes all over the world. When I was in Taiwan, I received a phone call and it said, "Your grandson is in my hands." And I heard a child crying on the phone. And I said, "Oh no, the grandson is kidnapped." And then I asked, "Sir, is my grandson speaks Taiwanese?" And they said, "Yeah, of course, right." And so I hang up. My grandson cannot speak Taiwanese. He speaks English. He's just learning some Chinese Mandarin. Some Chinese Mandarins with Zhuyin phonetics. They don't even understand Taiwanese, and they don't even understand my Chinese. To communicate, so we have to rely on Simu. So we have to be smart. As a human being, we want to be smart. When you date, you want to be smart. In your Dharma studies, you want to be smart. Open your eyes. Don't be tricked by the false Dharma. Let me tell you, there is a very important key formula to the Mahottara, to Mahabala yesterday that I didn't say because there were many VIPs from outside. I couldn't say that in publicly. So I only shared the common ones like the purity of the body, speech and mind. For the body, you form the mudra. For the speech, you recite the mantra. And for the mind, you visualize. You want to visualize Mahabala. You want to recite his mantra. And you want to form his wrathful fist mudra. And that's the union of the three tantra or three secrets. And you gradually enter into his realm. And at the crucial moment, then I would give point to the very important key formula. Then you would gain spiritual union very fast. The important fifth instruction is that you have to abide by the precepts. That's the most important. If you abide by the precepts, if you keep the precepts, then I can tell you that secret. I have to keep a secret, otherwise I wouldn't be the guru. Otherwise, all the masters are getting over my head. Each of the masters were very high. We are all masters, but Grandmaster only has the root guru, lineage root guru. But outside, all these masters also wear dragon robes, and they all wear the Dharma crowns and Dharma king crowns, and even bigger and higher and stronger than Grandmaster. So if Grandmaster doesn't keep a few secrets, then I would be finished. No more lineage root guru. So I need to keep a few things and wait for the right time. Oh, there was a legend called Hou that shot 9 sons, and he had a disciple called Meng. And so Hou is the first-rate archer, and Meng was the second archer. And Meng said, "When would I become the first? Now I'm always second." And the only way is to kill the first archer. Then he would become the first archer. So one time, Hou was riding on the horse, and Meng was behind him. And quietly, so he took an arrow and put it on his bow and shot Hou's back. Hou didn't even turn his head. He was riding on a horse, and he could hear the sound of the arrow. And he also took an arrow, and it was backward. The bow was backward, and released the arrow. Meng's arrow and Hou's arrow, and hit the arrow and fell to the ground. And when Meng saw that, oh, my guru had that trick that he hasn't learned.
他射出第二支箭，
So if he
他只要
shoot,
射出第二箭，
if
他
he
就
shoots the second arrow, then he would be
很快
dead
的
for
这个人
sure.
很聪明嘛，蒙很
So
聪明马上
Meng
跪
was
下
very smart.
从马上
Immediately
跪在
he
地上
got off the horse and bowed on the ground and
后羿
apologized
讲说
to Hou-yi.
没关系，
And Hou-yi said, "It's
我
okay.
不只留这一手啊，我还有第二手、第三手。
I don't only have this trick, I have many more."
不留一手的时候，卢师尊
If you
当
don't
不成
keep
啊
some tricks
你
to
不知道
yourself,
啊
there would be no more Grandmaster Lu.
文武百尊下降在身上啊，绝无仅有啊，这是只有
And
多一手啊。
the descendant of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities onto the body, that's never encountered before, and that's only one
老公和
of the
老婆在
tricks.
讨论这个月的家庭支出，
So the husband was talking to the wife about the family
你花
expenditure,
钱买面膜，
and
一
the
个面
husband
膜只
said,
用20
"Look,
分钟，
you know, you spend money to buy the face mask, and you
老婆
only
用莲
spend
子啊
20 minutes
莲花指一指
for the
指向
mask.
放
That's
保
a
险套的
waste."
地方。一支
And then
一个保
she
险套你只用
pointed
3分
to
钟
the condom and
我
said,
抱怨过你
"And
吗？
you only use it for 3 minutes each time, and I never complain."
啊，这个是比较。
This is comparison.
师尊练过功的，
Grandmaster
3分钟、
has
7分钟，
trained
那个是
3 or 7
幼稚园
minutes. That's for the kindergarten.
师尊是读大学的，
Grandmaster
3
is
小时、4
college
小时
level,
吧。
3 to 4 hours.
跟你讲，师尊修出无漏了，你不要说不相信，戒坛之前
So
绝无虚言。
I have attained the non-leaking fruition, and here on the precept altar there are only
40
2
岁就修
words,
成了
and I
你带
had
我
the
卖不
attainment
掉
when I was in my 40s.
不然，踹，哦，
If
踹和家庭的圆满。
in order to
最好
have a
无缘
harmonious
无故不要
family,
出门
it's best not to leave the house for no
我说我要出门，
specific reason.
师母也会奉陪到底。
If I said that I need to leave the house, and she will accompany me from beginning to end.
阿弥陀佛，
Amitabha.
不过已经很好了，师母是很了不起
But
的，
that's already very
真
good.
的
Sumo is
很
quite
好啦。
remarkable already.
她是宽宏大量的，
She has a very big heart. She's great.
这是甲跟乙讲，
A
新搬来的邻居
said
好
to
可
be
恶。昨天
the
晚
new
上
neighbor is
半
really
夜
bad.
夜深人静时，
Last night,
居
in the
然
deep
跑
of the
来
night,
按我家的门铃，
he came
对你
and
说
rang
哎
the
实在
doorbell
太可恶
really
了你有没有马上
incessantly.
报警呢？
And
小
then
的
B
讲
said,
没有，
"Well, that's
我
bad.
他
Didn't
是
you
疯
call the police?"
继
No.
续吹我的小喇叭。
I just treated him as a mad person. I just continued to blow my trumpet.
有时候我
So
们生活中的戒律是这样，
for the ordinary things, everything has cause
要
and
为他
effect.
人想，
So Buddha school precepts primarily is you should think for others,
像
for
讲昨天很
all
多
the
人
mundane
很
issues.
多的弘法人员
Think
对
for
面
the others.
你要为他们想，
Like
怎么讲
yesterday, there are many Dharma propagators that didn't come.
他们
So we think
没
for
有美国
them,
签证，
say they don't have American visas, so they cannot
对
come.
那没有
That's okay.
他们经济不好，
And they have no
没有
money.
钱，没有钱来美国。
They have no money to come to
可以。
America. That can be forgiven.
3个，
Third,
他们父母子女当中有生日，
that someone is having birthday, parents or children, and they have a party and they have to attend their parents' birthday, that's okay. That can be tolerated. Or their parents are sick and he's by himself and has to take care of the parents, no one else can take it over, that's fine. Grandmaster is very soft-hearted. As long as you have an excuse and lie to Grandmaster, Grandmaster is very kind, and I would make up the empowerment for you. So just find an excuse and you come here to Grandmaster, and Grandmaster will definitely give you the empowerment. Definitely. Because Grandmaster is too kind-hearted, too gentle. So yesterday I was very stern, and this morning upon waking up I repented. I shouldn't have said that toward disciples like that. Please don't do so intentionally violating the precepts, because the precept gods exist around. And then there would be cause and effect, which is the words that Master De Hui often says when he cannot manage his people. He would say, well, you are responsible for your own actions. On a misty morning, I trained in the park in early morning, and I saw a sage standing at the corner of the walls, and he must be training. And so I went and approached him and asked, what training are you doing? And the Guru didn't say anything. So maybe he was so in concentration, so I asked again, what kind of training are you doing? And then the Guru replied, leave me alone. Well, I just want to ask. I have no other intention. You know, you're bothering me, because then I cannot even pee. So even the sage needs to go to the bathroom too. Like yesterday, it was and the marriage dedication, Grandmaster's healthy longevity, and no, please, don't worry. I disappeared, and when I got in, there were water all over the place. So maybe water all over the bathroom. So although there's lots of water, I still have to relieve myself. Because as a human being, we're still a human being. Even a spiritual cultivator is still a human being. And human beings have human nature. So that's why we need to think for others sometimes, and that's a precept. Think for others. Don't always think for yourself. And that would be, that's a precept. So as a human being, we want to show that we are fine. Like the Tibetan Lama would recite 7 hours of sutras, seated, without moving. That's incredible. Of course, sometimes we have to endure it. like a ninja sound, like, but it's unavoidable as you age. When you're young, it's okay to become a ninja or to endure. You know, when you're on phase 2, it's hard to endure or to hold your pee. That's cause and effect here. The teacher asked Xiaoming to make a sentence with 果然. Actually, 果然 is one character. This is only meaningful in Chinese.
然后喝汽水，果然拉肚子，这样子就圆满了。Om Mani Padme Hum.
Then that would be perfect. Om Mani Padme Hum.